This week was about disaster and evacuation, and just about how people should evacuate their homes in case of disaster and how important that is. I thought this week was pretty interesting because even as a Pennsylvanian, I don't really think about that too much because we don't get hit super hard with storms, like except for Jersey, but we're not Jersey. But this week we talked about the hurricanes in Houston and the wildfires in California, and I do think those are really important because it's like people really want to stay in their homes in case of emergencies, in case of disasters, and it's like that's really your choice, but it can kill you. And I think that we have to remember that when they tell you to evacuate, they usually say so in like a very timely manner. Like you'll know like a couple weeks in advance, so you have time to pack up your necessities and to leave to go to a safe place. But a lot of people just stay in their homes and they wind up dying. And it kind of made me think, like remind me that like hurricanes and wildfires, although they seem like opposites, but they're very similar because they can both destroy like entire towns and livelihoods. And the evacuation for both can be quite tricky because on one hand you have flame, on the other hand, and then on the other hand you have wind and rain and things like that. So I do think it's important to keep in mind that you need to go when they tell you to go. The one article on Houston, it was about how they're like trying to get people to evacuate out of their homes, and how that can cause, when people are doing it all at once, it can cause a lot of traffic issues. But I mean, at least they're leaving, but it does cause a lot of traffic. And even with Katrina, and I thought that was very interesting. They mentioned that um, it was very hard to evacuate everyone. So I do think that's interesting. And even just touching back on a previous chapter that we did, I think this was about 2 weeks ago, we mentioned how women and children are more prone to disaster. And it made me think about this week because, you know, when you evacuate your homes or just in case of emergencies, like women and men, but more so women, they're always thinking about their children, and that's totally fine. I get it, but we can't always be the caretakers. Like if we're the ones mostly being killed by disaster, I do think that men, for the most part, should step up and do their part in helping everyone because what happens when we're gone. And I don't know. I really thought this week it was just very eye-opening. It does make me worry about disaster more. I feel like this entire class like making me paranoid, even though Pennsylvania like never really gets hit with anything super serious other than like severe rainstorms and like mild hurricanes. But Jersey mostly gets hit with those. But it did remind me that material items are just material, but your life is more important than, your sweater from high school. So I don't know. It makes me more mindful, and I feel more prepared now. So I do think that's useful. Thanks for watching.